En route to Lagos. On getting to my uncle's wife house, I told them I was leaving for Lagos immediately. I refused to be persuaded to stay, and I took a taxi to Mile 3 Motor Park, where I took a taxi for Onitsha. My intention was to stop at Onitsha, see a friend, and then proceed to Lagos. At Mile 3, we took off, and on getting to Amagwe, at the International Airport Junction, I heard a voice calling me by my native name, Nkem. I turned around to see if there was a known face in the taxi, but there was none. Who could this be? Only my late mother calls me by that name. All others, including the spirit world, knew me as Emmanuel. While I was still wondering, the voice came again. Nkem, are you going to betray me again? I did not recognize the voice, but the voice continued asking me, are you going to betray me again? Suddenly, I had severe fever. The heat that came out of my body was so high that the other passengers felt it. One of them asked me, Mister, were you well at all before traveling? I told them I was well and that I never had even a headache before leaving Port Harcourt. At Umwakpa in Owerri, I collapsed inside the taxi. The next I knew was that two men, tall and huge, came to take me, one on my left and the other on my right, and they never spoke a word to me. They led me through a very rough road with bottles and metals. As we moved along, these bottles and metals gave cuts, and I started crying, but these men still did not say a word. We moved on and came out to an express road. It was here one of them spoke and said, "You are a wanted man," and we continued. We moved on to a very large and long building that looked like a conference hall. As soon as we climbed the pavement, a voice from inside said, "Take him in." They took me in and disappeared, leaving me alone. What I saw inside this hall is difficult to explain, but I will try to explain as much as I can. The hall was well decorated and so large and long that one finds it difficult to see the end of it. I walked to the middle and then was able to see the end. At the end was an altar. I saw a moon and stars surrounding the sun. Then I saw a throne, and seated on it was a very handsome man with a garment shining like the sun. He said, "Come." But because of his brightness, I could not go. Whenever I tried to move a leg, I would fall. I stood up, tried again, and fell. Suddenly, a moon came out of the throne where he was sitting and moved on the ceiling right up where I stood. Then two hands came out of the moon, held my head, shook me, and my physical body pulled off, like pulling off a dress. And the real me stood. The hands folded it as if folding a cloth and dropped it at the corner. The moon then moved back to the throne, and then he that sat on it said again, "Come." The spiritual cleansing. I walked to a point, and he stepped out of the throne to me, removed my legs one after another, and poured out what was inside them and fixed them back. He did the same with my hands and put them back, in fact all the places the Queen of the Coast kept powers. I wondered in my mind, who can this be, and how did he know the spots these things were kept? After this, he went back to his throne and asked me to come. As I started walking, certain objects started falling from my body, scales fell from my eyes, etc. But before I got to the altar, it stopped. "Where are you going?" he asked. I answered and said, "I am going to Onitsha to see a friend." He said, "Yes, but I will show you what you have in your mind." Up till this moment, I did not know who he was, but one thing was certain, and that was he was more powerful than all the powers I had come across. He beckoned on a man and asked him to show me what I had conceived in my heart. This man took me to a room and opened something like a blackboard. In fact, if there was a way to escape, I could have escaped. For before me was written all that I had planned against Christians and my plan against the Assemblies of God Church, Silver Valley. The man brought me back to the altar and left. He came out of the throne and took me by his hands and said he was going to show me certain things. On our way, he said, "I do not want you to perish, but to save you, and this is your last chance. If you do not repent and come and serve me, you will die. I will show you the abode of the saved and the disobedient." When he said this, I then knew he was Jesus Christ. Feel free to visit our friends at swissministry.com.